God!
I want to do the most brainless, repetitive, do-nothing gameplay I possibly can. Just over 4 years ago, I uploaded a video showcasing my runs of every Golden Strawberry in Celeste. If you don't know, Golden Strawberries are unlocked by first beating the game, then beating the harder version of every single level in the game, and then beating them all again without dying. I think it's fair to say that after this, I really wanted a break. And it's no surprise that later that week, I was playing Cookie Clicker. And oh boy, what I did not realize I had just done. Now for those of you who haven't thought about this game in literally 10 years, this is most likely what you're familiar with at the mention of Cookie Clicker. Or maybe like me, all you could remember about this game was that Seth Bling made a video on it in Minecraft once and that Ant Venom thought it was really fun. Now, this is the original game, made by Orteal, and we'll revisit this one in just a second, but for now, this is the normal game. This is the version Orteal made a bit later once Cookie Clicker started to become a huge success. It's a very simple concept. Click cookie, get cookie. Spend cookie, get Cookie Clicker. Cookie Clicker, click cookie, get more cookie. Now we're buying grandmas. Grandmas bake cookies. Upgrade Cookie Clickers. Buy rolling pins. Now grandmas go burr. Farm cookies. Keep going further down the rabbit hole. Dig a deeper rabbit hole. Mass production. Replace the world currencies with cookies. Worship your new god. It's silly at first, but it doesn't take much to understand. Once you've baked 1 trillion cookies, this little thing in the corner appears. This is a sugar lump, and it's the main reason why most I Beat Cookie Clicker videos don't actually get every achievement. It takes 24 hours for this thing to grow and be collected. A bit less than that for it to grow enough for you to collect it manually, and a bit less than that to grow enough that you're allowed to take a 50-50 chance that it'll either be collected or be destroyed. We don't like that chance. Sugar lumps are used to upgrade your cookie generators. 1 sugar lump to go from level 0 to level 1, 2 to go from level 1 to level 2, and so on. We'll get back to this. For now, we can upgrade a few buildings to level 1, which unlocks some minigames. Cookie farms unlock the garden, a place where you can crossbreed plants into cooler plants, which do things. The temple unlocks the pantheon, which allows us to slot different idols to worship, which also do things. And finally, the Wizard Tower unlocks the Grimoire, which can be used to summon half an hour worth of cookies per second, and definitely not millions of years worth because that would be overpowered and would never happen. Eventually reaching a quadrillion cookies in our bank, we can unlock the Bingo Research Center. This is where we can develop new technologies that I still have to buy for some reason. Now these upgrades are, kinda sus, not gonna lie. Like this is a bit concerning, maybe a little bit, right? Now we were being kinda silly for a little bit, doing things like turning useless gold into cookies and going back in time to get cookies that haven't been eaten yet, and that was all well and good. But if you've actually seen anything from this game, beyond knowing that it was the first idle game and it's a bit goofy, then maybe you know about the ramifications of our Bingo Research Center and discovering the One Mind ability. Most obviously, our grandmas are, But besides that, we now have these little flesh monsters showing up and eating our cookie. Stop that. They reduce our CPS up here, but the cookies aren't actually being destroyed. As a matter of fact, we can pop these little guys whenever we want, and they'll actually give us back way more cookies than the slight reduction in CPS would indicate. With max wrinklers, we actually have our CPS being multiplied by around 6 times. That's a dead guess from 4 years ago, please don't hurt me, Cookie Clicker community. So if they're technically increasing our CPS, how are they bad? That actually goes into another mechanic I haven't mentioned yet, and it's the most important one yet. Every 5 minutes or so, a golden cookie can spawn somewhere on the screen. Click it, and a lot of stuff can happen. Sometimes it'll give you a ton of cookies based on your CPS and the number of cookies currently in your bank. Sometimes it'll multiply your CPS by 7 for a bit. Sometimes it'll multiply your CPS by the number of randomly chosen buildings you own divided by 10. And best of all, there's a tiny chance that it'll multiply your clicking power by 777 times for 17 seconds. As there's several upgrades that increase your clicking power based on your CPS, this can easily put you miles ahead of where you were in mere seconds, generating cookies that otherwise would have taken you hours to get. You can also combine the Grimoire powers with golden cookie buffs by conjuring baked goods during a frenzy or building boost to generate way more cookies than it normally would. So golden cookies are insanely powerful, and that exposes the final aspect of what we've got going on here. With one mine purchase, a third of our golden cookies now become wrath cookies. Wrath cookies generally have bad effects, losing us a whole bunch of cookies at once or cutting our CPS in half for a couple of minutes, but can also rarely do good things, like halting cookie production entirely for 10 seconds, but clicking gives us 10 seconds worth of our CPS each time, or an Elder Frenzy, which gives us a crazy 666 times CPS buff for 6 seconds. With 10 Wrinklers active and an upgrade that doubles the time of all Golden and Wrath cookie buffs, even without clicking, one Elder Frenzy produces at minimum 13 hours worth of cookies. Now because these crazy buffs are so rare and we already have the clicking frenzy buff from golden cookies, having a third of our crazy powerful golden cookies becoming potentially bad isn't really worth it, and we're never going to exploit the potential insanity of wrath cookies ever again. So with the communal brain sweep ability and finally Elder Pact forcing 100% of all golden cookies to become wrath cookies and unleashing the full power of the Grand Matriarchs, the Grand Apocalypse is complete and we can now freely spam Elder Pledges for a few trillion cookies to contain the wrath of the Elders. Then when we're away at college, the Grand Apocalypse can run in full force to massively increase my AFK gain. So now that we know everything about the game, it's time to start playing. And no, we haven't started yet. Though I didn't realize it at the time, this meant nothing. Ascending now would grant you a bazillion prestige levels and a bazillion heavenly chips to spend. Now this isn't a quick little gimmick like the mana in the Grimoire. This is something much different. This is the crux of the entire game. Now there's a lot to talk about here, and this goes real deep, but that's later. Right now, we're here for a few things. First, a permanent 10% CPS boost, a whole bunch of upgrades that we'll be able to buy during the game, giving us between 1 and 4% CPS, a pet dragon, heralds giving us extra CPS based on Orteal's highest level Patreon members, and most importantly, the permanent upgrade slot, where any upgrade we bought during our run can be carried over to the next run. The upgrade that we're going to be choosing will be... Wow, that got nerfed, jeez, okay. So what this used to do was give you a flat increase to each click and cursor building for each non-cursor building you owned. And when that flat increase was 50,000, it wasn't that insane late game, but it was crushing for early game and would completely skip it every ascension. Now it just buffs Thousand Fingers and stacks with the previous buffs, doing the same thing, but it's not abusable anymore. I thought that was the point. Either way, it's time to play again. But this time, we have a lot of permanent upgrades. Most importantly, this little thing right here. Remember how we got Heavenly Chips and Prestige? Well, every Prestige we got is now a permanent 1% increase to our CPS. Currently, we have about 4 times CPS from just that, but this will become far more important in no time. The second run of Cookie Clicker isn't much different from the first, it's literally just meant to be a massive power trip. You blaze through parts of the game that took you hours to do previously, not taking too long to unlock the Bingo Research Center, the thing that previously marked us as being close to the finish line. Another thing pushing us along faster last time is our milk level. This one ain't complicated, and it's just how many achievements we've earned. Kitten upgrades multiply our CPS based on our milk level, so it's in our best interest to unlock as many of these as... Oh. Okay. Achievements carry over, so the first kitten upgrade that previously gave us an absolutely massive CPS boost last time is going to give us an absolutely ludicrous CPS boost this time, and there's several of these to buy. So we get further than last time, buy higher level buildings that were previously unreasonable to get, and then we abuse the hell out of idling because turns out that's actually really damn powerful right now. This will not be the case for long, but for now, these dudes are my best friends. Hey little fella. Alright, so this game really do be Cookie Clicker, and that was literally the same as last run. I mean, cool that I progressed so quickly and I made it a lot farther than last time, but if something doesn't change, like right now, I'm probably never looking at this game again. This is the season switcher. This is the golden switch. This is a myth. I love myths. We buy it. Let's run it back. Now once we've got some cookie production going again, we'll be able to start on a little something that's quickly going to become a pain in the ass, but right now, it's new content. For a few days near Christmas, Halloween, Valentine's Day, April Fools, and Easter, events happen in-game which can give you new upgrades that have a huge impact on your CPS. Christmas can even have reindeers spawn which give you a ton of cookies based on your CPS. What the season switcher does is allow you to go between seasonal events at will. I found the best order to be going to Christmas, which gives you a ton of upgrades right away, then go to Valentine's Day, where upgrades will appear every few seconds until you have them all, then Easter and Halloween, before going back to Christmas to get the more tedious upgrades as well as have reindeer spawn all the time. Now, I said this would be a pain in the ass because Halloween and Easter have 7 and 20 upgrades respectively. To unlock the ability to buy all those upgrades, you have to click golden cookies or pop flesh friends for a chance to get the drop. Didn't get it, and next cookie or friend is going to take 4 billion years to appear? Sucks! The upgrades also get progressively more rare as you collect them all. I think this is because the game still rolls for each possible upgrade, and if it lands on one that you already have, nothing happens. So Valentine's Day can become a nightmare if you're at 18 or 19 upgrades collected. Christmas does the same thing, but instead of golden cookies and friends dropping the upgrade, you have to get all of Santa's reindeer to appear. Why are there 7 upgrades but 8 reindeer? 9, I guess. During your time messing around with the seasonal stuff, you'll start to notice golden cookies being ever so slightly more awesome because of the buffs that we bought to their spawn rate and effect duration. Not only that, but at this point we've also got a little variety of garden plants now thanks to actual research that I had to start doing between my boring ass college classes. Yeah, it was around this time when I started to get the first hint of what was to come for me later on. Y'all want to see something insane? Just real wacky? You'll want to get just the first little taste of the real cookie clicker? You ready? Alright, here we go. Wow, that was crazy, we unlocked every single seed in the game, immaculate! Anyway, so we can now plant anything we want to here for all sorts of different buffs, and I will, the next time I unlock every plant. For now though, we're here to unlock every achievement, and that means we gotta sack every seed we own for 10 sugar lumps and the Seedless to Nay achievement, which also happens to make obtaining new seeds very slightly easier. It was somewhere around this time where I realized that Conjure Baked Goods wasn't even close to the power of Force the Hand of Fate, which spawns in a golden cookie. That's because if you have a 7 times frenzy going and spawn in a golden cookie, and that cookie just so happens to be a building boost, or even better, a 777 times clicking frenzy, suddenly that crazy good 777 times clicking frenzy becomes an absolutely titanic 5,439 times clicking power boost. If one click normally gives us about 1/3 of our CPS, which is a slight undercut, and we're clicking at about 10 times per second via butterfly clicking, where you alternate hitting the mouse button with 2 fingers, or jitter clicking, where you tense your arm and vibrate your finger against your mouse, with the clicking frenzy buff lasting about 37.4 seconds due to our Get Lucky upgrade and Lasting Fortune Heavenly upgrade, we are prepared to make 18.8 hours worth of CPS. Keep in mind, that is only with a frenzy active. What happens if we have a building boost active and we hit a clicking frenzy? And even better, the second we see a golden cookie on screen, we can hit the golden switch, giving us 50% more CPS before we force the Hand of Fate and pray for a combo. Let's take it a step further. Remember the Pantheon? What if we also slot the cow thing beforehand to make milk 10% more powerful, giving us between double and triple our CPS? We can also slot Jeremy for buildings to produce 3% more CPS. Then after clicking the golden cookies, we can super quickly slot our mummy friend for 10% base CPS. Wait a second. If we have a building boost active and a frenzy, we could have a full field of bakeberries planted to give us 3% of our current bank 36 times over. Wait. What if, instead of praying for a huge combo each time I force the Hand of Fate, what if I planted a full garden of golden clovers, had golden cookies spawning in so frequently that I would just have a frenzy active by the time the next golden cookie appeared anyway? The garden minigame is special in that spending sugar lumps on farms past level 1 is still beneficial, increasing the size of your garden plot to a maximum of 6x6. This means we can have 36 golden clovers planted. These take an average of 5 ticks to mature and an average of 10 to die. If you have enough farms purchased, you have access to different soil types. Fertilizer makes ticks happen every 3 minutes, fully maturing a golden clover after 15 minutes. Then we can swap to clay, which makes ticks take 15 minutes, as well as increasing the effects of plants by 25%. So with a full field of golden clovers at full maturation and using clay soil, our golden cookie rate increases by 135%. This is fast enough to not only have frenzies running into the next golden cookie that spawns, but the timer for frenzies actually stacks. So if we have 1 minute left on a frenzy and then we get another one, it'll add the entire 2.5 minute duration of a frenzy to the time remaining, which means we can now have a permanent frenzy buff with several minutes queued up in case we don't get one for a bit. To make this even better, it's extremely rare to get the same type of boost from naturally spawned cookies twice in a row, meaning that after a frenzy, the next golden cookie effect is way more likely to be something that stacks with the frenzy. Though the majority of the time it'll just be a pile of free cookies, which at this point isn't great considering our newfound alternatives. What really sucks is that it's not worth it to swap out our Pantheon idols before each time we force the Hand of Fate, as we can only swap idols every so often, and if forcing the Hand of Fate doesn't give us something that we can start a combo with, these idol swaps go to waste. We also don't want to swap idols after getting combos started either, because then we're losing precious seconds of combo time. If only there was a way to know for certain when we're about to get a combo. If only we could go back in time before we start the combo and just know in advance, you know? Oh no. And before you even say it, I figured this out on my own, and very soon after this, I learned about a bot that you can take the seed of your game, because those exist in Inspect Element or something, and it can tell you exactly how to get the most insane combo possible. I thought that was cheating. You're literally going into the code of the game and using a robot to gain information about your instance. Apparently most people who play this game also use auto-clickers or bind every single keyboard button to left-click or other things that give insane clicks per second during huge combos. This is also something I never did. I double also found out about the Bakeberry strat online, and I never ended up using it because I thought the 3% of bank cap was stupid. I'm now pretty certain that 3% cap is a lie because of math or something, but I still never used it. I much preferred using strats that I came up with personally. The only thing I really got from other people is the insanity of the garden graph, and some classy individuals known as Trash Can TV had a really helpful guide on Ascensions and how many heavenly chips to get before doing them. But yeah, turns out the effect of golden cookies you get from using Force the Hand of Fate is based on your seed, the number of spells you've casted, and strangest of all, whether or not it's Easter. So now we're really talking. This means that I can force the Hand of Fate, and if it's not a building boost or a clicking frenzy, I can reload, change the season to Easter for another chance at one of the two boosts, and if it's still not what I want, I can click Gambler's Fever Dream, a Grimoire spell that chooses a random spell to cast for half the mana cost, plus the cost of the spell itself. If it attempts Resurrect Abomination, then it'll fail to spawn a Flesh Friend since we didn't have the Grim Apocalypse going on, refund us all of our mana, and add 1 spellcast to the counter so that we can try again. If it doesn't attempt Resurrect Abomination, we can switch to Easter to try again, and if that fails, we can just cast the cheapest spell, which will always either be Haggler's Charm or Gambler's Fever Dream, depending on which spell it tries to activate. We can then repeat the cycle however long we need to until we have a Clicking Frenzy or a Building Boost stored up. Then we refresh the page and we wait until we can get a Frenzy, Building Boost, Clicking Frenzy combo. What's even better is that if we have a Building Boost stored up and we hit a naturally spawned Clicking Frenzy, we can spawn our Building Boost cookie, which, remember, is more powerful the more of a certain building we have, and if it gives us anything that is not the cursor boost, we can refresh and try again. Fun fact, the golden cookie being a building boost is seeded, but the building type isn't. Now say we have 500 cursors, a full triple golden cookie combo, the golden switch active, all of our idols slotted. We're looking at each click giving us 500,000 times our CPS, or about 139 hours of cookies per click. What does that look like? Let's say we're clicking at about 10 clicks per second, and we're not, I personally click at around 13, but let's say 10 to be safe. And assuming this combo lasts around 30 seconds, we are hitting about 5 years worth of CPS by the end of the combo. And suddenly, this game is not what I came here for. It's not the brainless AFK equals win gameplay I had wanted. It is no longer worth it to idle for cookies. It is no longer worth it to click the cookie. What was once an absolutely crazy buff of 777 times clicking power doesn't even matter to us anymore, because without the full combo, that is 350 times less efficient than what we could be doing. Sure, it gives us a lot of cookies, but what's a million cookies to someone coding their own cookies into the game with a few hundred JavaScript consoles? Okay, speaking of, I just gotta take a minute here and talk about how funny this game is, alright. So, the last several buildings here, I'm turning light into cookies. This thing makes cookies just appear in front of you by pure chance, like a cookie just quantum tunneled to your location, or maybe like some science-y stuff happened with the sun exploding and zapped the molecules right in front of you into a cookie or something. I have no idea. We are turning cookies into cookies. We are coding them into the video game, taking them from other people who are also playing Cookie Clicker. Then there's the Cortex Baker. These things, right? I thought they were kind of funny, and on the wiki it said they were probably a reference to Jupiter brains. But then, this individual, this guy right here, makes a video on Cookie Clicker just as I start writing the script for this one, and points out that Cortex Bakers are the same things as Azathoth. What's an Azathoth? Oh, you know, this fella is from H.P. Lovecraft. He dreams all of existence into being, and you and everything you've ever known will disappear when he wakes up. Alright, so patch notes time. This game has the best patch notes that have ever existed. We got the this year update. Game has been renamed to Cookie Clicker to avoid confusion. Can now click the big cookie to generate cookies for free. Removed fall damage! Removed all references to computer-animated movie Hoodwinked 2005. Went back in time and invented cookies and computer mice, ensuring Cookie Clicker would one day come to exist. Game now fully compliant with Geneva Conventions. Dropped support for the TI-84 version. Released a low-res retro version of the game, playable here. It's this. And then the absolute best thing I have ever seen in any update ever, updated version number. Holy. So you can name yourself in this thing up here, and naming yourself Orteal, the creator of the game, gives you a shadow achievement called God Complex. And as long as you keep this name, your CPS is reduced by 1%, because stop that. You can also name yourself Orteal with the I before the E for minus 2% CPS because you have a god complex and you're an ass. A whole bunch of the achievement names for getting 500 of every building. That's not true at all, is it? Every achievement name for getting 500 of a building are lyrics from All-Star. There's an achievement for selling a grandma. These are all different cookie types that you can unlock. Among them, we have some of my favorite types of cookies, such as toast, peanut butter and jelly, cheeseburger, and pizza. Check out all the different milk flavors you can get. Oh, these are all the different phases of Santa. Let's talk about this garden for a second. At this point, we're making years of CPS at a time and finding new strats to get cookies even faster. Our main limiting factor here is honestly sugar lumps. There's 19 buildings in the game, and I gotta get them all to level 10, meaning 55 sugar lumps each, or 1,045 sugar lumps. A bit under 2 years of waiting for these things naturally. We gotta get these things faster. I have nothing to do inside of Cookie Clicker while waiting for combos and my mana to regen, and I'd also like to get my garden plants back after I destroyed them all for an achievement in sugar lumps. Thankfully, we can work on all of these things at the same time. Now, I kind of skipped over the garden because I really didn't have a whole lot to say about it, but I do have a whole lot to say about it now. So this stuff is difficult for a number of reasons. To crossbreed plants together, all of the parent plants have to be mature at the same time and for as long as possible, since it's not a guaranteed chance that the plants will spread or that they'll turn into whatever we want. To help with this, we're going to turn the garden soil into fertilizer, the thing that makes ticks happen faster, plant the thing that takes the longest to mature, then plant the other crops when the average maturation times equal the remaining time until the first crop matures. Once both plants are mature, we swap the soil to wood chips to make the plants 3 times as likely to mutate, and we pray. This was the old strat. With our new knowledge of how powerful refreshing the game is, what happens if the plants don't mutate after a tick passes? Hi, yeah, so, editing Cub here, right? I don't know if this changed, or if I'm just, like, actually that stupid. I feel like it has to have changed. Like, there's no way I didn't know about this prior. But, like, so I'm gonna leave it in. I'm gonna go into, like, a whole thing about how you can, like, circumvent this, and whatever. But, like, okay, so all the stuff grew here, and then if I refresh, now it's different? That's not how it used to work. Like, I can just... What? Huh? How long has this been a thing? Okay, whatever. I'm gonna leave it in, because, like, this is my progression video. This is not a how-to video. This is how I got through the whole game, how I 100%ed it. So I'm gonna show you how I went about doing that, but, like, this... What? No luck. Ticks on the garden are on a global timer of sorts, so refreshing doesn't actually give us another shot at the crops mutating. However, this button here freezes the garden. Until now, I've used this to plant crops that take hours to mature, and when they have, say, 2 hours left until they're mature, but I'm about to sleep, I can freeze the garden and put it all on pause until I come back the next day. See where this is going? Simply change the soil to wood chips when you're ready to mutate your crops, freeze, wait until enough time has passed for the next garden tick to have gone by, save, unfreeze, and refresh if the mutation fails. Now, instead of dedicating the whole garden to mutating one crop, we can dedicate just enough room for the crops to have one mutation square and refresh until we get it. All 9 of these crops are new crops that I don't have the seeds for yet, all maturing at the same time. Before refresh strats, our garden would typically look something like this. Now, I mentioned I needed a better way to get sugar lumps earlier, and you probably probably assumed that I want to get all of the crops to sacrifice them again, but there's actually a different way to go about it that I went with instead. Juicy queen beets take 2 days to grow and give you a sugar lump when harvested. You can't plant juicy queen beets. Instead, you have to rely on them coming from a mutation. And because of how insanely rare it is to get a juicy queen beet to appear, and due to the fact that you have to have 8 queen beets surrounding the maturation square, and because it takes 3 hours to grow the queen beets themselves, this isn't worth it at all. Now, however, we can guarantee to get a juicy queen beet on the first tick possible, and it's still not worth the effort. I did it a few times, but wow, these things are so rare, and I am not a fan of refreshing the page for literally 30 minutes to get all 4 juicy queen beets in their spots. Like, it's just, we're not doing this anymore. Now, I haven't been talking about it, but every so often, usually after we pull off a massive combo, we send, buy more heavenly upgrades, and go again. The heavenly upgrades are kinda nuts, but don't do much different than we're used to. Some of the big things here are extra golden cookie effect duration, plus 10% CPS to the golden switch effect per golden cookie upgrade that we own, for a total of 2.5 times multiplier instead of the normal 1.5 times multiplier, sugar lumps growing a bit faster, more flesh friends appearing faster, and most importantly, random drops are now 5 times as common before buying access to our prestige level multiplier. Random drops are the things that we get from seasonal events, which we have to do at the start of every run for the extra CPS bonuses that we unlock from them. With the power of Control R, the best way to do this is to gun it for the Bingo Research Center. Start the Grim Apocalypse, worship the Spirit of Scorn, and fill up on Flesh Friends. Each time we pop one of these guys, it has a chance to give us the drops that we want, and we can refresh if we pop too many without getting one. Saving after each new drop, of course, to make sure that we're cheating at optimal efficiency. Christmas gives us the best CPS bonus at the start, which is why we go and do that first. But we're not going to finish Christmas until the very end, because the drops that we get from it only come from the reindeer, so Control R is useless here. There's also now a 1 in 50 chance that the news ticker up here is green, and we can click it for cool upgrades, so we have to do that too. No, spamming it does not work. After that, technically it's best to switch over to Business Day at all times, as we have a heavenly upgrade that makes golden cookies appear 5% more often. But I'm not leaving the screen looking like this. I mean, this is so ugly. I'll turn it to Christmas sometimes though, just because I think it looks really nice, and the cookies that we get from the reindeer help super early game. Kinda. Not really, I'm coping, but I like it when they show up, you know? You know what would make these triple golden cookie combos even crazier? If they were 50 times better. Our mana bar is based on the number of wizard towers that we have. Buy more wizard towers, higher max mana. Easy. Our ability costs are some set number plus a percent of our max mana. Force the Hand of Fate takes 60% of our max mana plus an extra 10. So we obviously can't use it twice in a row. You know, he says right after implying otherwise. So, let's say that we found a spot where Force the Hand of Fate gave us a building boost and a clicking frenzy, one after another. Then wait for a natural building boost, used Force the Hand of Fate, then sell most of our wizard towers until our max mana is the amount of mana that we were left with, and then we can afford the second Hand of Fate. We get a way better combo, and a whole hell of a lot more waiting around for the next combo. We now have to find a spot where these two very rare golden cookies appear right after each other, and we also need to wait for a natural building boost on top of our infinite frenzy. This is going to take a while. Thankfully, our trick with Gambler's Fever Dream, sometimes giving us a free spellcast and the ability to use Haggler's Charm and just barely squeeze in another Hand of Fate, makes the likelihood of this happening just a teensy bit higher. Whoa! It's update day. I wonder what they added. Oh! Okay. Sell eggs for... That's not... What is that currency? I can buy stockbrokers... Get loans... Huh. Okay, so there's an achievement with this, right? I have to get a year worth of CPS translated into whatever this thingy is, and And you know how just a second ago I was talking about getting a combo that gets us 250 years worth of CPS in a few seconds? Yeah, no, this is deadass gonna take like 6 months or so. Like, that, you can't cheese this. This is base CPS. It doesn't take into account any modifiers that are going on here. Also, the profits from the stock market reset if I ascend, and I have to get this number to 30 million for the achievement. I guess I'm committing then. Date is currently November 6th. It is 3:04 in the morning. It was my birthday about 3 hours ago. That was pretty cool. And I got the liquid assets achievement. I literally, like, I think I sold my sugar stock. I think I had a stock in sugar and I just sold that and I got the liquid assets achievement. I think I got that for hitting 10 mil profits. I started this run over 2 months ago when the update dropped for like the stock market stuff, and I've been working on this ever since. I was going to just keep my game open for another like 4 months, but I guess I have the liquid assets achievement now. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so that achievement took 2 months of leaving the game open and regularly checking in on it to buy and sell stocks, and it turns out that achievement wasn't actually removed from the game. No. Instead, that got turned into a shadow achievement called Gaseous Assets. I mentioned shadow achievements before. They're basically achievements that don't count towards 100% in the browser version of Cookie Clicker, the thing that I'm playing on. They also don't boost our milk, which we get a massive CPS boost from our getting upgrades with. Now, these are shadow achievements because they are either completely and utterly horrible to get or just outright unfair. These include things like clicking on 27,777 golden cookies, baking 1,000,000 cookies in 15 minutes, which, whatever. Getting a shiny wrinkler to spawn. Hi, this is me reading the script off. It is 2025. Yeah, I still don't have that. I have not gotten a shiny wrinkler to appear. I don't know what the odds are. I've literally never gotten one. Anyway, back to the video. And just an outright 1 in a million chance every second. I'm gonna say right away that I don't care about those achievements too much, but I do have been actively trying to get them. I'm leaving that in the video. As soon as I learned about the 27,000 golden cookies achievement, I stopped caring too much, but if there's any easy shadow achievements to go for, I probably will. Now, achievements in this game are mostly being given out for normal progression, but there's some special stuff that we need to do as well. And the sooner we get it done, the sooner we get that sweet boost to our milk, and more importantly, the sooner I can see the cool achievements at the bottom of the achievements list. Right off the bat, the easiest shadow achievements for me to get were third-party and cheated cookies taste awful. The reason that these were the easiest is because the only way to get them is by cheating, which I had no plans on doing. As the name implies, you get cheated cookies taste awful by cheating in cookies. Now I could cheat in one cookie and call it a day, but come on, that's cheating, I can't do that. Instead, still in the spirit of the achievement, I cheated in the achievement itself. And real quick, I understand that this is the equivalent of having a mark on your permanent record, and like I shouldn't want this one, but I like big numbers, so I don't care. Doing this also gave me the third-party achievement, and I have no idea why. Normally you get this for using third-party programs that work with Cookie Clicker, like Perfect Idling, something that essentially acts like Cookie Clicker is open at all times, even though it's not. I never use this. I don't know. You get when the cookies ascend just right for ascending with exactly 1 trillion cookies. Pretty easy, just don't buy egg. Speed baking 1 and 2 are easy. For these you have to ascend into hard mode, where your heavenly upgrades and prestige levels no longer apply. It's the exact same as if you just started your first run, except you still have all of your achievements giving insane buffs to your kitten upgrades. Though, this won't matter for speed baking, as the first kitten upgrade costs more than 1,000,000 cookies, and the achievement requires you to bake 1,000,000 cookies in 25 minutes. Super easy! What's not super easy is speed baking 3. Bake 1,000,000 cookies in 15 minutes. Now this can be done one of two ways. You can either reset a bazillion times until the first golden cookie of the run is a frenzy and you get a huge boost to production early on, and the second is a clicking frenzy that'll put you over the edge. I tried this many times. Alternatively, yeah, this is the first and only time in the game where I actually did a little bit of trolling. So I found out pretty early on that most people play this game very differently, and that a ton of people actually use auto-clickers, and it's just like totally fine by everyone for some reason. There's a hard limit in this game of 250 clicks per second, which is faster than I can click personally. Also something code nonsense, you apparently can't hit that high most of the time anyway. Now, I never used an auto-clicker for the entire time I played this game, but I did make the decision to go a step lower when doing attempts for this achievement actually started to really mess up my hand for multiple days. Instead, I made a thing that makes every time I scroll my mouse wheel count as a left click. This used to get me pretty high CPS that I can't normally get by myself, but I've gotten a new mouse since doing this, and the CPS it gets is a bit higher, so yeah, that achievement I got pretty shortly after I swapped to using my mouse wheel. Again, I haven't used any alternate clicking methods like that outside of this achievement, and the only reason I decided to do that was because it was causing me physical pain lasting multiple days. Shadow achievements also don't provide actual advantage, and I always say that if a game cheats you, cheat it back, and physical pain I count as cheating. Sorry. Now for some achievements that are even slightly interesting. Just kidding, one more lame one. Hardcore, bake 1 billion cookies without purchasing any upgrades. This takes several hours, with the world record sitting at 1 hour and 15 minutes, and in case you think a cookie clicker speedrun is just a meme, this is what it looks like to take the game seriously. Now, the one that I thought would be more interesting until I looked up a modern-day cookie clicker speedrun was True Never Click. There's a normal achievement for baking 1,000,000 cookies while only clicking the big cookie 15 times, or enough to get 1 cursor, but there's also a shadow achievement for doing the same thing without ever clicking the big cookie. That means that we have to get our first cursor entirely from the cookies that we get from golden cookies, which, when we don't have any cookies or CPS, only gives us 7, so it'll take at least 2, but most likely 3 golden cookies to start producing any cookies normally. We can still buy upgrades though, so it goes by a lot faster and is generally more interesting. Finally, we are approaching the end. I swear, don't look at the video timeline. Now, it's been several years since I started this game. There's been a lot of achievements added to this game since I started it, and like I said from the very start, I knew I'd be time-gated by sugar lumps to upgrade buildings. I held off on getting the non-sugar lump achievements because the final achievements for baking certain amounts of cookies are actually insanely hard, and a lot of your effort gets negated with an update that just adds a new building that would have massively increased your CPS for free. And with each new building, new achievements for baking certain amounts of cookies get added, and you have to do all of that work again. I wouldn't say I was slacking though. I did return to this game every so often to try and hit crazy combos to increase my prestige level so that I could get higher next time and be more prepared for an update by having a higher prestige boost. Eventually though, I opened up Cookie Clicker to try and get a decent combo, ascend again, have all of my work reset again, and have double or triple CPS on the next run. This time, however, would be far different from previous runs. I have a big stockpile of sugar lumps now, which means I can freely spend those sugar lumps on things such as the Sugar Frenzy, something that triples my CPS for an hour but can only be used once per ascension. I can also use it to let me swap between idols in the Pantheon more often if I need to. Most importantly, however, and most broken of all, is that I can use 1 sugar lump every 15 minutes to refill my mana bar by 100. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I thought for a long time there wasn't a 15-minute limit, and I thought I'd just finish this game really quickly after getting the required sugar lumps for building upgrades because of that. But despite that many month-long setback, 100 extra mana is still insane, potentially giving us another 2 golden cookie effects to add to our insane combos. Now, what I thought this more likely meant was that because I could chain more golden cookie effects to the same combo, I would get insane combos more frequently, which was awesome considering how rare they already were. Finding a spot where you can chain 2 Force the Hand of Fate cookies into 2 already existing cookie buffs is insanely hard. Remember that the chance to get the lucky effect, which just gives us a bunch of cookies and is thus useless, is about 40%. To get Frenzy, the 7 times boost, which is also useless since that's running at all times from naturally spawned cookies, is also about 40%. There's a few other rare effects that do nothing for us, and the Clicking Frenzy is just over 3%. We need 1 Clicking Frenzy, and any more don't stack, so those are useless. Finding the building boosts, which we want as many of as possible, are about 9%. To get an even remotely worthwhile amount of cookies, we have to chain naturally spawned frenzies, 2 building boosts, and a Clicking Frenzy from a natural spawn and Hand of Fates. I really didn't think any more than that was going to happen. I would search down the Hand of Fate chains just in case, obviously, but that wasn't the plan. Wow. If you didn't catch it, we'll go back through that one more time. First off, you can see an idol I hadn't mentioned before in the first slot. The cow thing passively makes golden cookies spawn less, so I don't have that slotted yet. Since I don't need any more naturally spawned golden cookies for the combo, we can slot that now. The fella I always thought looked like a mummy unslots himself and uses up all of my idol swaps if I click a golden cookie with him slotted. So I would have to slot him after clicking the golden cookies, which would take up some extremely precious seconds. I thought that wasn't worth it and went with the second best option, Jeremy, who increases CPS by 3% when in the last slot, but also passively makes golden cookies spawn less, so he's not slotted until now either. The Godzilla dude I was told by many people is really good. I did a quick test to see if it was better to put him in the first and most powerful slot over the cow, and it was. He doesn't do anything until I want him to, so he can be slotted from the start. We'll get back to him in just a second. You can see in the top left I have a Frenzy active as well as a Chance Maker building boost. I instantly Hand of Fate but hit the 15% chance of a backfire. As we know, this is predetermined, and the Wrath cookie that spawns, which has a highly increased chance of giving me a negative effect, by some act of the heavenly chips above, this gives me an Elder Frenzy cookie which boosts my CPS by 666 times. I sell a bunch of Wizard Towers to lower the cost of Haggler's Charm to burn through spell uses, we buy back our Wizard Towers and spend a Sugar Lump to refill 100 mana, then we swap to Easter to Hand of Fate another Building Boost cookie, sell all but 2 Wizard Towers, and turn off Easter to Hand of Fate the Clicking Frenzy cookie. We then buy all 3 loans, which each boost our CPS by a certain amount for various amounts of times in exchange for lowering our CPS for a longer amount of time after the boost ends. We then sell 1,800 buildings, activating the effect of the Godzilla idol to buff our clicks by 1,800% for 10 seconds. Finally, we activate the Golden Switch for an additional 150% CPS, use our single-use Sugar Frenzy for 3 times CPS for 1 hour, and then we click as fast as we can. The full combo from the moment we started clicking the big cookie lasts about 4 seconds, and this nets us about 4,738,244 years worth of CPS. Now this combo wasn't perfect by any means. If I was Dream, I would have gotten another building boost on top of this instead of 2 burner spells I had to use. My clicking was really slow for the first second as I had to line up my arm in a certain way to click as fast as possible. The biggest improvement that I could have very easily fixed was that I activated the golden switch, Sugar Frenzy, and clicked the golden cookies after selling the buildings for my idle ability. This is mainly because I didn't know how powerful the idle ability was, and I easily could have gotten at least 9 seconds out of the full combo instead of 4, but it doesn't matter. Nothing matters anymore. Finally possessing a duo Vigintillion cookies, or 1 e to the 69th power, I can finally say that after 1,309 days, I have finally 100%ed Cookie Clicker. Added the final 20th building. Added another tier of upgrades and achievements. 11 months, 24 days since the last update. The clip you're seeing of me beating the game to 100% completion happened on the 13th of April. As I was working on the script for this video, May 8th rolled around and introduced a massive update to Cookie Clicker, adding among other things an achievement for getting a Trevigintillion cookies. Now you all saw the absurd combo I got earlier, and yeah, it could have been better, but getting 1,000 times what I did wasn't really feasible. If I were to press Ascend again, I could repeat the process, get crazy combos, and with the power of a way higher prestige level, a new understanding of how strong Godzamok is, and most importantly, more of me, a Trevigintillion is possible. Easy? No. Fun? No. Am I willing to do that before making this video? Not really. I'm sure this video has been running on for a really long time, as I'm nearing page 14 of the script now, and y'all are thinking you've invested time into the story I'm telling you, but I really can't emphasize enough that this has been a 3-year journey for me. I used to log on every few weeks to grind spell uses and try and get off crazy combos and Ascend, literally just for a higher prestige level so that the next run I could get a higher prestige level and so on, and eventually this would all be over. And you know what? It was over. I did finish, even if it was for an annoyingly short amount of time. To be honest, I'm not done here. This video is already turning out to be way more effort than I thought it would be, and I'm still on the fun and easy part. I fully expect editing this to take me several weeks, and trying to finish up the game yet again would add way too much delay. But I'll complete it again. It'll be a long time, though. This segment was supposed to be the end of the video, but there's been a change of plans. You may have noticed that the dates of all of these things have been happening were quite some time ago. Basically, what ended up happening was I recorded the video and was unhappy with the audio quality, which I couldn't really do anything about at the time. Once I was finally able to do something about it, it had been a long time since I had thought about Cookie Clicker, and I really just didn't care much anymore. However, in September 2024, 2 weeks after getting a new computer, I had an idea that might get me off my ass and post this damn video. I originally thought that the game updating to add new achievements was really funny and fitting into the video, but it ended up just being a big reason I didn't want to make the video yet. It felt incomplete. At the same time though, finishing the game again would probably take another absurdly unlikely combo and hours upon hours of checking through potential golden cookies and the Grimoire. And besides, I beat this already. I won. I felt like I had kind of been cheated out of that, especially with Cookie Clicker also releasing to Steam in the same update. I'd expected the game to keep updating and had decided that I wouldn't care, but this felt a lot more final. This should be the last thing I do, even after what I thought had been such a good conclusion. So, what to do. Well, I said it once. If the game cheats you, cheat it back.
So, basically, what I did was I looked through my seed, and I didn't really like it, so we hit the ascend button here, which apparently you used to have to get like 1 prestige level and then ascend, which basically just meant you bought buildings for like 20 seconds and then press the ascend button. But now you can just immediately ascend, which is really cool. So yeah, we could just reroll seeds until we got one that we liked, and let me tell you, I like this seed. This is apparently just how, like, I don't know if it's most, but I want to say it's most people play the game. But this just tells me that there's a combo right here. This is insane. Force the Hand to Fate Planner. Never used it before. Seems cool. So, that was so bad. We can do better.
Alright, for realsy reals this time, the final finishing finale, Return with the Elixir Edition, video is almost over. I'm just going to give some quick behind the scenes and closing thoughts on everything with this game. Overall, I'd call this an A-tier game. There's a lot of waiting around, but most of the fun in this game comes from while you aren't in front of the screen. You're off doing whatever, and you're cooking up new ways to do some crazy garbage when you get back to it. This was absolutely insane, and I had no clue what I was getting myself into when I started this. A lot has changed since I started this journey. I mentioned that there's now a Steam version of Cookie Clicker, so if any of y'all want to try out the game and you prefer paying for games over not paying for games, go right ahead. Despite being an idle game, which I really had no respect for a few years ago, this turned out to be a massive test of creativity for me. Trying to find the best ways to do certain things, get bigger combos, grind seasonal drops faster, mutate plants. I'm really glad I did this. And I'm glad that anyone watching this gets to hear this crazy story as well. Absolutely enormous shoutouts to Coaster Funk, who promised to make me and a bunch of other people custom dice for completing a project that they've always wanted to finish during the month of January, which this is probably like February or March by the time that you're seeing this, but it gave me the motivation to finish it, alright? This video would still be in purgatory with Purgatory if not for him. And I'm doing this because it has been a really long time, and I don't think I have ever advertised this, but some of you may not know that I was the second person to no-hit Omega Flower from Undertale. Y'all should go watch that, and die instantly at the joke that I made in the intro that makes me sad every time. Also, I looked up no-hit Omega Flowey's second in the world Cubpletionist, and my video doesn't show up. What the hell? I'm crying.